Okay, welcome everybody. It is Tuesday, and that means it's Town Hall Day. Welcome to Builder Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver. I am president, co-founder, what else? Chief cook, bottle washer of all things Meredith Communications. Seriously, I do digital marketing for home builders. I'm the chief strategist here. We build websites, we do SEO, social media, sales training. Basically, if it lives at the intersection of sales and marketing and you're a home builder, that's what we do. So I'm very honored and pleased to have all of you with us. It's kind of crazy how many webinars and chats and all virtual events that there are going on. And for you to spend your time with us is an honor and a pleasure, and we appreciate you. So our first item on the agenda today is to talk about, as we always do, just give you a little brief website traffic overview update. As I've mentioned before, I'm monitoring about 60 builder websites actively in markets all over the country, as many markets or more as there are websites. These builder websites are small custom builders who maybe are building a handful of homes a year, very high end, all the way up to regional, national production builders who are building thousands of homes a year. So it's a pretty good gambit and a nice sample size. And I have awesome, fantastic news for you this week. Traffic is up, up, up. And I know Matt will talk about this and probably comment this more when we get to the Q&A and the panel discussion a little bit later. But what I saw, I went through, tabulated all the numbers on the websites that I'm monitoring. Basically, I'm looking at a week over week increase of about 8% on average in total visits to the site, as well as new users, about the same. Month over month, that's the exciting number to me, because with that, I'm looking at about an average of 15%. Now, I looked at some that had 60% increase month over month. I saw some with 30%, but most of them really did land in the somewhere of the 10 to 18, so right in that 15% range. So that tells me we've come a long way in 30 days. And I'm incredibly grateful for that, as I'm sure you are. Now, why, again, in case you're with us for the first time, why do I do a website traffic update every week? Well, because your website is the top of your funnel. It is the top of your pipeline for future sales. We've known all this time that your website is important, but I don't think maybe we realized how important until our physical location shut down. And really, it was the only place we have to meet and greet and begin the sales process with our potential home buyers. So it's very important that you're watching and you're monitoring that. I normally don't monitor it on a weekly basis this closely. I usually like 30 days of data when looking at website traffic patterns, but in the current environment, it makes sense to look at it weekly. I was also very pleased to see that time on site is still high, averaging 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes a visit. I actually looked at one of our builder websites today that had a 4.5 minute average, Go Thompson Homes, with 11 pages per visit on average. What does that tell you? Well, it tells me that people are bored and not sleeping well. And as a result, they're spending a lot of time on your sites right now. I also saw increases in PDF downloads, increases, of course, in virtual tour clicks, but I also saw consistent increases in live chats, click to call, and contact us forms. So I really hope that you are seeing those increases as well. If you're not and you're concerned, reach out to me. I'll be happy to take a look. My compliments. Let's put our heads together and figure out what's happening. Now, it could be that you're in a market that's been completely closed, one of the 5 states where construction was deemed non-essential. And if you're in that state, then it's quite possible that that has had a bigger impact on you. Whereas some of the other states, take Texas, for example, which is really more on the leading edge of reopening, their traffic numbers, their models are back open. Some of them, their traffic numbers are outstanding. They're making sales. I mean, it's just a completely different story. So I think your local market condition, the state of your opening, is definitely going to have an impact on it. But let's be sure that that is what is happening and not something else if your trends aren't matching what I'm seeing. So just reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And I'm sure our other panelists would be as well. Okay, so agenda item number 2, moving on along. I'm introducing a new segment this week featuring yours truly, and I'm calling it How to Be Bold. How to Be Bold. So I'm going to talk and give you a little bit of content here straight from my head and my heart to you. And once I finish up that, what's coming next is an interview with Tara Whiteley of Eastwood Homes. Eastwood's just completed a virtual open house, and they are willing to share what they did and how it went and what they can do or what they would recommend or do differently the next time. The virtual open house was one of the most requested topics we've had for the town hall, and it's kind of been hard to find somebody who was willing to step up. So thank you. So Tara's going to do that. And then after that, our all-star panel will be on just like they are every week. And we'll have Carrie and Matt and Angela and Tara and myself. And I'm going to ask each of them the question, what's next? What do you need to be thinking about, planning for, whether you're in sales leadership, on-site selling, marketing? What are the questions? What are the dialogues and conversations you should be having internally to plan for the next phase of this thing and try to get ahead of it? Okay, so here we go. So here is some thoughts. And so how to be bold. And we're going to take just the B of bold this week, and it's going to be a multi-part series, and we'll continue on with it for a couple more weeks. This is what I'm calling my motive ed section. Motive ed, that's motivation plus education. Do you remember when you took driver's ed in high school? Remember, so the point of taking driver's ed was, yeah, you had to check the box that you took it so that you could go and get your learner's permit. But really, the purpose of it was to do 2 things. One, to teach you the knowledge and skills you need to be a successful non-crashing driver, right? And 2, to give you the confidence, to give you the reps, to give you the hours that you needed in the car behind the wheel under somebody's guidance, so that you were prepared mentally to drive. And that's really what motive ed that I'm introducing today is all about. I want to give you some skills to help you be better at selling and marketing new homes, but I also want to give you that confidence and motivation that you need to be successful at it. All right, so what does BOLD stand for? Well, for the B stands for breaking barriers. Breaking barriers. Here's what I'm seeing as I'm interacting and talking and working with so many of you. I joke that I've never worked harder in my life, and I'm a very hard worker, but I find myself working a lot of hours every day as the home builder helpline. How can I help you? Right? Fielding all the phone calls. And as I talk to those of you individually or teams, the ones that are successful, the ones that are really making it happen right now are B, breaking barriers. And this is really true whether you're in a COVID-19 situation or not. In our industry, we have to find a way to make the sale happen. What are the barriers right now that you are facing? If you're in marketing, put your marketing hat on. If you're in sales, put your sales hat on. Right? There are barriers that prevent us. Now, there's been other barriers throughout history of this, if you've been in this job very long, right? So there were barriers for high mortgage interest rates. Remember those? There were barriers when the economy completely fell apart and foreclosures were at an all-time high and we were competing with short sales and foreclosures. Remember those? So don't get too short-sighted on the current situation. There are always going to be barriers to making the sale. But the teams and the builders that break through those are the ones that will be successful. So I think of two barriers to our current situation that I think you want to be thinking about and addressing. One's physical and one's emotional. So the physical barrier of everybody being in self-quarantine, self-isolation all this time, that is what we've been addressing week after week after week here with our tips on how to go virtual with your presentations using videos and live stream, how to take great pictures with your phone. We've been addressing the physical barriers to selling that you're all facing. And I think part of what our panel will address coming up in a little bit is the next phases of physical barriers, what that you need to be thinking about in terms of that. Because even though as we start to reopen, it doesn't change the fact that there will be those barriers there. And so we have to be thinking along those lines. What are those and how do we handle them? But I'm going to focus today on the emotional barriers that you've got to break through. And I'm not talking about yourself, your mindset, your motivation for yourself, which obviously is always important and basically the start of all success. But I'm actually talking about the emotional barriers your customers are feeling right now. If you're in sales, what can you do? What can you say? How can you approach them? What are the words you want to use? Are you role playing that out right now, either with a teammate or your full team on Zoom or with your sales manager? Sales leaders, are you working one-on-one with each salesperson playing out these scenarios? Because I promise you, you don't go through a pandemic and not come out on the other side with some emotional leftovers. Those leftovers are going to impact your home buyers' mindsets. Now, clearly, it hasn't impacted everybody's. We're still selling homes, and that's fantastic, and thank goodness for that, and I'm so happy to hear that. And I certainly don't want you to plant concerns with people who don't have any. I talked to a new home salesperson the other day that said, you know, some of my people that are buying, they're like, what's going on? Not a big deal, right? I'll come out. It's fine. Cool. If that's how they're feeling, awesome. But I do want you to be paying attention for those that are experiencing some emotional barriers that you need to help work them through. So let's get specific. That's a hard word to say. Let's get specific and talk about how you would do that. So here's the question I ask myself when I am trying to put myself in the shoes of my customers. I ask a simple question. How are they thinking, or what are they thinking right now? How are they feeling? And what are they doing? So each of us typically falls into one category or the other. We tend to be more like intellectually driven. And so we'll say things like, well, I think da 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 da. Other people tend to be more driven by their emotions. And so instead of I think, they'll say, well, I feel we should list all of our models for sale. Okay, now I know you're an emotion-driven person. And then we have folks that are more action-oriented, right? So they look at it and go, here's what I think we should do. And so the reason I want you to brainstorm all three is that way you're covered, because typically you'll gravitate towards the one that is like how you operate, and you'll most naturally communicate with that style. So if you're somebody that tends to look at it intellectually, then you'll list out all the intellectual ways that this can be tackled and why it's still a good time to buy a home. But then when somebody who's emotionally driven, you come up against that particular person, you find yourself rather ineffective. So this is true for our salespeople in terms of their way they deliver, in terms of your follow-up messaging, our OSCs, how you handle leads, but it's also true for our marketers that are here today and on our town hall. Marketers, I would advise you get out a legal pad. Like I have my big legal pad right here with my notes for today. And I would advise you start brainstorming and write down thinking, feeling, doing. And you want to get as granular as possible in this process. So when I write down doing, like what are they doing? Literally binge watching Netflix. That's what we're doing right now. So you get very, very, very specific. Over zoomed, and this is where you can come up with clever little taglines, clever little sayings that you're on Facebook and somebody puts one of those a meme up and it just bam hits like perfect. Like you're like, oh my God, are you in my house? How did you know? Yeah, because I'm thinking about what is the universal truth of this experience. And then as I'm looking at that, how are they thinking, feeling, and what are they doing? And if you will brainstorm out all of those things, then you will be ready to address those emotional barriers of things like, well, what about home values decreasing? Maybe you're going to drop your prices because the market's going to slow. Well, what if it doesn't appraise for what I thought it was going to? Or if I sell my house now, I'm not going to get as much for it if I wait this thing out. There's going to be so much emotional leftovers that you're going to need to overcome and deal with. And here's the thing that I find when we talk about dealing with emotions. Most of you would rather not. And I get it. I get it. I'm the same way. Because when we look at how other people are thinking, feeling, and doing, guess what? We have to look at what we are thinking and feeling and doing. And some of us would rather not, right? It's easier just to say, it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's the same. It's all normal. And you know what? It's not. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. So I want to pull up a screen share of an example of what I'm talking about here to help you really hone in on this. So let me click my share screen button and pull up my window here. Hang on one second. There we go. And I want you to see something that caught me as so incredibly clever. This is MI Homes Raleigh. Hey, MI Homes Raleigh, are you guys in the house today? Chat me if you're in. I know a lot of times you guys do join in, and I'm so glad that you do. I know a lot of you are doing great work. You're doing amazing things with your sales and marketing. Hey, Linda, Raleigh's in the house. Awesome. Well, I'm going to brag on you for a second. But this happens to be Raleigh, so I happen to see it. I don't want anybody to think that you're not doing as well as somebody else because I didn't point you out or comment. It's just a matter of whether I happen to see it or not. So MI Homes Raleigh, their team is killing it with their sales team, with making videos, okay? They are creative, they are clever, they're fun. They have all the right elements to them. And I just applaud you because I know this had to have taken a lot of time and effort. But here's where I want to give you a very specific example of what I'm talking about. So this is a video that they created, and it's 5 reasons. Five things feature, and I'm assuming this is maybe one of the agents. Linda, you chat into everybody. I'm assuming this is one of the, maybe some of the agents' kids that are involved. But indoor, outdoor play. Look at this. Look at these cuties. So cute, right? So good. I just love it. So the point of this, and again, I'll post the link so that everybody can, oh, Allison, you're in. Hey, Allison, good job. Are these your little cuties? So what she did, and I'm assuming these are your kids, each one of the 5 reasons to buy a home with a basement, her kids give you the reason and show it to you. Now, the point of this, and the reason I'm pointing it out and why it has to do with breaking barriers and emotional connections is that when you see those little cuties, it makes an emotional connection. It speaks to me on that emotional level. How many of you caught the draft the other night? I'm a college football fan, massive college football fan. And the pros, oh man, I was so tuned into that draft, right? Because I was desperate for some different entertainment. But my overall assessment of the NFL draft is that they technically pulled it off perfectly. I mean, can you imagine all those different remote people in their homes who are not technical Zoom wizards, all connecting all of them and the whole thing? Like, they made it work beautifully, technically. But you know what it lacked? It lacked emotion. There was some kind of delay. And so when they would announce the name and go to the family in the basement or in the media room or the living room or wherever the family was all sitting there like this. We have an expression in our family called sitting there pie-faced. I don't really know where that came from, but that's what they look like. It was not good. It missed the emotional connection. You know how you make an emotional connection? You get really real about what people are thinking, doing, and feeling right now during this time. And when you get into those things, you'll come up with something like using your kids and showing why it's better to have a basement. It's so simple. It was easy. I mean, it probably took you 300 takes and 5 million hours. I'm saying it's simple and easy, but the point is that you did it and you went for it and it stands out. It stands out. All right. So I'm not asking you to be Steven Spielberg, and you don't even have to do a video to do it. That's not the point. You could do this with a follow-up voicemail. Those of you that are marketers, if you are thinking about doing some kind of marketing campaign or some kind of promotion or incentive right now to all your clients, I mean, if you don't tap in to what people are thinking, feeling, and doing right now, none of your other content is relevant at this time. None of it. Nothing. Like I'm doing a virtual keynote tomorrow for a large home building company that's having a virtual all-day summit. And I had to rewrite the whole thing. None of what my normal material would work. My basic concept would work, but every single example, every single illustration has to be custom written for this time. And it's the same for you. So please, I want you to look at all of your marketing communication through a new lens. Whether you're leaving a voicemail, writing an email, creating a marketing campaign, I don't care what you're doing, I want you to tap in and try to address the emotional barriers that your people are fighting and feeling right now. And if you do that, you're going to connect on an entirely different level. Your phone calls will be returned. Your emails will be returned. You will write contracts. I can think of a specific marketing campaign for a production builder. I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to say exactly what the campaign is because, well, I don't want to give away any trade secrets that we're working on right now. But I can tell you we used this process. It went live on Friday afternoon late with some very simple lines of text to the website. Nothing crazy. The graphics and all that are still kind of being produced as we speak. But just basic thing, but we knew it was exactly what people need and want right now, and that the campaign would speak to it. And when we talked to the OSC yesterday, she said that literally the phone began to ring off the hook within 10 minutes of that going on the website. The live chats started, the phone calls started, because it hit people exactly with where they are right now. And that is the key to being bold. Okay, so B was for breaking barriers. Next week we will do O, which is overcoming obstacles. And I have some ideas for that. L stands for love it or list it, which, yes, that is an HGTV show, but it is also a principle that I live by and that I know will help you be bold. And then D is to do what works, and stay on mission. All right, so in the coming weeks, we will address each one of these. All right, I'm looking over in the comments. I see some folks asking about the video. I will post it in the Facebook group. While I'm going to invite Tara to come on the screen here and join me for our little discussion, while she's getting all set up, let me unmute you, Tara, make sure you're good. I do want to invite everybody, if you're not a member of our Builder Town Hall Facebook group, definitely join in. That is where the real fun happens, and I will post the recording of this meeting there that you can share out. I will post a link to that awesome In My Homes video there, and anything else that gets mentioned during this, we will post it there. Okay, I am now no longer alone on the screen. Yay! Hey, Tara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So all of you that are listening in and paying attention, I do want to say a word to everybody, the folks that I invite to join me every week. I mean, do you guys have any idea how hard it is to be in front of your peers live on the internet? It is hard. So we want to show her some love. So chat in, be sure to say thank you to these folks and show appreciation, because it's not easy at all. But you're here and we appreciate you.
Yes, I haven't run away yet, so I'm
right.
here.
I know, right? Okay, awesome. Okay, so I invited you because, well, one, you're in the mastermind group that Meredith Communications does, builder marketing mastermind groups, and you've been in that now. This is your second year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your contributions are always so amazing. And we had our meeting for this month last Friday, and we were talking about virtual open house. And so I thought maybe you could give everybody a little rundown on the virtual open house that you guys just did. First, kind of tell them what it was, how it worked, just give them the overview of it.
Sure, absolutely. So this was for a brand new community. It was actually a virtual grand opening. So the community, okay. Yeah. So even bigger, the community is in the Atlanta market in Flowery Branch, which is a brand new market for us. So we also had that obstacle to overcome as well. We don't necessarily have the brand recognition there quite yet. This is our second community in the Atlanta market. So we opened for sales in March, and we had our grand opening virtually April 18th on Saturday. So we did it on Facebook. We definitely learned some things from it. So it wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yeah. How did it work from a technical perspective? Like, what were the kind of sequence of events?
Sure. So I created the event on Facebook on the Tuesday prior. And then that week I scheduled out all of the posts. We got together, we met, and we decided what we were going to post. We had professional photography, Matterport of the model, and we had photos of the 3 spec homes. 2 were done, 1 was very close. So I'll just give you kind of a rundown of the posts that we did, and we scheduled them over a 2-hour period on Saturday. So we did 2 pre-event posts on Friday, the day before, and that was to drive people to our website. So we asked which floor plan would fit your needs, and then what's your favorite design aspect of the model. And that was really just to try to get them over there and engaged with us in that way. And we did a giveaway for the Friday posts, small, but $50 for an Amazon gift card.
Nice.
Yeah. And then Saturday, we also did a giveaway. We did a $250 Amazon gift card for participation. And that was in addition to the grand opening weekend incentives that was on top of. That was just to participate. So the Saturday posts were spread out every 10 minutes over 2 hours. So we started with a graphic about the giveaway, just to let people know, engage, comment, like, share. And then we had our on-site agent do a video, kind of introduction to the community and to the event itself. And then we also, the third post we did was the model walk, and he walked through the model. And then our incentive was an outdoor living package or screen porch. So he ended there and talked about the incentive. And then we posted Matterport of the model, and then model photos. We had a video from our mortgage lender, preferred lender. We did 3 separate posts of our spec home photos. We did a post about our design center and how you can customize your home. We did because we were trying to build that brand recognition, we did a video with the owner of our company. And then another graphic, and then a post to schedule your one-on-one virtual appointments. And then a goodbye video with our on-site agent. So that was all done ahead of time, which I think is the most important part of it. You do not want something live because it gets crazy. So
how did you map out what content you wanted for all of this? Did you just go? Sorry, go ahead.
You know, what do you have? What are you working with? And that was most of it. You know, we knew we had the photography, we knew that we had the Matterports. So you start with what you have, and then you see where your holes are, which for us would be building probably that brand recognition there. So we definitely wanted that video in there. We wanted people to know that they could customize their homes. So that design center. So you just fill in your gaps of what you would talk about with them in person, you know, if you were meeting with them. So.
Okay. So kind of thinking about what would you normally share at a grand opening event in person?
Yeah.
And then how can we recreate some of the answers to those questions or those sound bites that a salesperson would share in digital content?
Yeah, and we would normally have a lender there. So that made sense to reach out to one of our preferred.
Yeah. 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 So this is the first virtual grand opening you've done, right? I mean, so definitely bootstrap, right? And figure it out. What would you say was the most successful aspect of it? And what would you do differently next time?
Okay. So the event came off very professionally. It was smooth because everything was scheduled ahead of time. And our on-site agent, who was very much a part of this, so that was the other thing. Our on-site agent, our sales manager, our marketing manager, myself, we were all in the event responding to people. So that helped. Our on-site agent actually attended another virtual open house type event. And they were kind of learning through the process. So that was one thing he took away, was that ours came across very professional.
Nice.
Which was nice. We had a lot of engagement. We really did. We had a lot of people liking and commenting on the posts. So one of the downfalls was that we didn't have their contact information. Anybody could like it. So we already reached out to that VIP list that we built over the previous year. We already contacted them. So this was anybody on Facebook. And we also did, we did boost the event. So we did put a little
I was going to say, did you spend any Facebook ad money to increase the reach? Okay. So you did. Okay.
Some of the people were familiar to our on-site, and then some people were new. So we needed a way to get their information so that we could follow up. And we reached out individually in Facebook Messenger, but people don't always see that because they're not friends with you. So One idea that we have for going forward is to maybe make it a group instead of an event.
Okay.
And then you could require an email address and or phone number to gain entry into the group. So that was a thought that we had, of course, after the fact. So
Of course. Well, I mean, if, whenever I try something new, I have to get halfway into it or all the way and then work out backwards, like what I should have done. I mean, that's just how it is, right? When you're trying something. So, a couple of questions. Aileen's asking, so was this was a Facebook event that you created off of your main Facebook page?
Yes. So we did a co-host, the Eastwood Homes Atlanta and Eastwood Homes page, so we could hit both audiences. So yeah, we posted it there and boosted it.
Okay. And then you're saying, though, the next time, instead of an event type of setup on Facebook, you might look at creating a group setup, because then you could get some contact information.
Yeah, you could require that to get in. You know how they ask to gain.
And I mean, if you want to do some kind of giveaway, I mean, if you make it a really good something, then I think people might still join the group and be too discouraged by giving contact information. And kind of just depends on what the carrot is, I guess.
Yes. And, we also had already reached out to our VIP list. So I think if the timing was differently, but, the world's just been crazy, we could have done this a month ago and targeted that VIP list as well. So,
yeah. We've got a couple questions coming in about how did you handle the giveaways? Like specifically, like how did you pick who to give it to? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I had to go through all the posts and Excel spreadsheet, write down the name when they liked. I did likes, comments. And so another thing to learn was we should post earlier that make your shares public, because I can't see them if they're not public. And we did figure that out, but it was a couple posts in. So I don't think people saw that.
Okay.
So some people missed some entries, but I manually went through and tallied the likes and then I made a spreadsheet and I used random.org, I think is the website.
Yes.
And picked a number. So
okay. So was there a criteria to get the giveaway, or it was just that you engaged with one of the posts?
Yeah, engagement. So the grand opening incentive was you had to make an appointment that weekend. But for the giveaway itself, it was just participate in some way with us.
So a comment, a like, a share.
Yeah.
Okay. But they have to make that public, or else how do you see it? Okay. All right. Yeah. One of the things that we brainstormed in the mastermind group, and I'll throw this out to everyone, is adding a live stream element to an event like this. So what about if you had your online sales counselor or your awesome marketing person who now is a superstar on Zoom, hint, hint, go live at the beginning of this grand opening off from the page? I think that could, again, that's the emotional connection of a live face and a voice and all that might help kind of build some energy into the event.
Now we did one of those just for a home.
Okay.
A spec home in our triad division, and the on-site agent was live and I was kind of his assistant. So I was there plugging in all of the information in the comment section, the links, the stats of the home, everything that he highlighted, I would kind of highlight via text to the side.
Yeah.
And we recorded it. It actually went over very well. We had, I think, 4 or 5 people there, including one person who was very interested in that home. So so that was really cool and it worked well. And he was not technically super savvy, so it worked well for him. So
okay. Did a couple of people have asked so back on the grand opening, where you were doing the posts over the 2 hours. How many people would you say participated total in that?
Probably maybe about 10 or so, 10 to 12. So yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, is that what you made the spreadsheet out of, those names?
Mm-hmm.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
It was one line for everything they did. So it got, yeah.
Oh, so, okay. So you had 10 to 12 people, and they were all multiple posting and
then
okay.
I went down the page.
Got it.
I just picked a number and whoever it correlated to.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Oh, yeah. And so part of this is a lot of you, when you've been asking me how to do it, well, there is no how to do it. You like make it up. I'm serious. So the way that they did it was created a Facebook event, boosted that with some ad money, and then during a specific set of time on a specific day, they posted multiple times to the page with different pieces of content. There wasn't a live stream element to this one. It was just multiple posts. You said about every 10 minutes, right? And
Yep.
and you just kept posting and people interacted with those, and then somebody won the giveaway. Yeah. It's really, I mean, to say it was simple, I don't want to negate all the hard work it was to create all those posts, because that would take a lot of time and effort, but it's not a complicated setup anyway, right?
Right. And we actually talked about this in the mastermind group as well. We would shorten it.
Yes. Yes.
45 minutes to an hour. So I don't know where that exact spot is for the right length, but it was lengthy.
Yeah.
So we would definitely bring the posts closer together. So.
Yeah. In my experience, in terms of getting engagement on Facebook, and it takes more than you think or kind of feel comfortable with, to be honest. Like more posts, more frequency, you really got to be repetitive, and it feels a little wrong. Like this is old fashioned marketing, but that's really what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And prior to doing this, you sent out an email to your lists, right? So you did work your email list as well. Did you have any appointments or anybody take advantage of the incentive yet, or any outcomes from it?
No, we had 4 appointments from our list. So it wasn't, the most notable grand opening that we've ever had, but we are new in that market, and it's kind of so I know one person very interested, but it may not be the right time. And then actually a second person that flat out told me they were waiting until next year. So I was able. So I reached out to the winners and had a chat. Like I couldn't just say, "Hey, you won." Like I had to say, would you like me to put you in touch with a new home specialist? I had to try to sell a little bit. So, and that's, not necessarily my area, but the second person said, we've definitely decided to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think 4 appointments out of it is outstanding. I think that's a great result, really. And the Atlanta market is a very competitive, hard market to break into. We've worked in that market for years. To me, it's a lot like the Dallas market, a couple of the other ones where it's so large geographically that it's really like 25 submarkets, actually. Yeah. And so it's very fragmented. So breaking into it and making a splash into it is hard. So given the pandemic and given you were new in it, I think that's awesome. I think you did an amazing job. Anybody else have any? I got to put my glasses on so I can read it. Anybody else? Any other questions? Right? I know. Good. Congratulations on being the first one. Love it.
Andrea, to your point, there is technology out there too. So she's talking about a Facebook Live. So if anybody's has an agent who is not comfortable with being live, you can record it and then post it via stream so it looks live. So that is another option that we're trying to work out in the future.
Yes,
So,
that is true. I've used a product several times called Be Live, be.live, and it's a third-party product, kind of like Zoom, except for live streaming, and will allow you can create graphics. You can really kind of create a show and then push to Facebook Live. Pretty cool. And FYI, those of you that don't know this, we can do that with Zoom as well. So if you're using Zoom, there's one little checkbox down here. I didn't check it, don't worry, but I could push us live to Facebook and we could stream live through Zoom. So what if you wanted to add a live stream element to your grand opening or your open house event on Facebook, the sales team could get on Zoom and go live. That way you're in your different locations, so separated, but you still all go live as a team to kind of talk about how cool the neighborhood is, and that would give some more energy and excitement to it as well. All right. One last thing on this, and then we're gonna get this panel in here and going. Sophia Brighton in Boise, Idaho. I've been seeing y'all's your videos, Sophia. You're killing it. You and Shannon are killing it. I am so proud of you. They are participating in a virtual parade of homes right now. And I actually saw on here in one of your comments, let's see, hold on. You said, we're doing a virtual parade of homes currently. It's going really well. We have had close to the same traffic compared to the regular parade. Sweet. So that's awesome. We're happy. Okay. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Matt. Hi, Angela.
Hi. Hey.
It's my favorite day of the week when I get to see you guys.
It's our favorite day too.
Absolutely.
I know, right? So I asked them to come today prepared to talk about what's next, right? So what should we be thinking about? I'm not sure that we have the answers to this, but we at least want to get your mind jogging and your internal dialogues going. We crash landed into virtual selling, and I would like to try not to crash land into reopening if possible, right? So Carrie, I'm gonna punt it to you first and kind of let you take a stab at it. What do you think is next? What do we need to be thinking about?
So as I've been thinking about this, because I come from the sales world and I try and spin things positively, I think that it's what we're jumping into right now is 6 feet together, not social distancing and 6 feet apart. We're just 6 feet together, right? So let's frame all this 5-6 feet together. And I realize that we really truly are in, I don't know if everybody knows, but all of a sudden this resonated with me, a watershed moment. If you don't know what a watershed moment is, it's basically where you have to turn on a dime and things change just like that. So being aware of what are all the facts that follow behind this watershed moment. I'm going to leave technology to Matt because that's like the key, the best. I mean, you just have to, right? But I kind of broke mine down into leadership, AKA sales managers, and maybe even HR a little bit, and then sales. So the thing that I think that we want from a leadership perspective is to understand that when you are doing a reopen, you might need some HR documents on how you're doing, what you're doing, and some policies that are in writing. Because there are a lot of anxiety-driven, freaked out people. They are your trades, they are your customers, they are, I got asked a question today that said, someone had a home under construction, and they know that we as salespeople walk people through homes under construction to show things. Are you going to bring people into my home under construction? Think about the questions that are out there. So from a leadership sales management perspective, you need to put something in writing. So it's reopening. And then I think I want you to all be aware as sales leaders, the re-engagement. These people have not been engaged with people like they are used to doing, even their own teammates, even the trades that stop by. So they're kind of, you know, when you've got like a space shuttle and you do a re-engagement into Earth, I think we've got a re-engagement that's coming. And I think that needs to start from leadership being thoughtful. And then the last one on that is inspecting what you're expecting. Like if you're expecting your sales team to do certain things because it's your company policy, it's your brand, it's your message, then sales leaders are going to have to get out into the field. And I actually think right now you might be welcomed. Like before, it's like, oh no, I see her car. What did I do? Where now it's like, oh, yay, come on in. So that's from leadership. And then from the sales perspective is, you guys are going to have new daily responsibilities. Like, y'all know when I get in your models and I talk about your entry rugs, your garbage cans, and your toilet seats, and your lamps not on. Like, that's what you go in and do. So now all of a sudden you're going to be cleaning your hardware and you're going to be, you know, doing the different things. Company owners, you need to supply the disinfectant and the things that people need to create these, because before it's kind of been well, just go buy some toilet paper or just buy paper towels. I mean, if you knew how many salespeople, myself included, bought all of that myself, I think now that needs to get into the system. These salespeople should not have to be buying all this stuff to keep them open. Matt will cover this, but your CRM is gold in terms of notes were an option. Notes are now not an option anymore, because you have got to catalog what people are saying and what they're doing. I'm not saying we're in a litigious society, but we don't know what we don't know, right? That's why we need some policies, procedures. We need to put it in writing. And then I'd like everybody to really understand this very fact. There are a lot of people that believe, and I have a particular builder in mind, and I'll kind of tell this story, is that Lifestyle Home Builders has a community that in demographic, this is not like a fair housing thing. In a demographic, it is the Indian culture is attracted to it by work, by church, by schools, by everything, right? Well, you know that they negotiate. And the thing that they think truly to be true is the fact that your models have been closed, so you're desperate. And I can buy this stuff for anything that I want to pay for it, right? Well, here's the deal. Sell up, not down, because actually what you've had the luxury of doing is working with fewer but better, more engaged, and what's been going on virtually behind the scenes has nothing to do with a car parked in front of a model. Nothing. Your prices should not go down because you were only in one-on-one or you were virtual, because you did a better job and people got a concierge level of care that way. So that was kind of in a nutshell. Leadership sales, go for it, people.
Yeah, and that's an example of a day-to-day of getting into the overcoming the emotional barriers or understanding the perspective of that particular buyer, thinking, feeling, doing, and then coming up with a solution and a way to communicate with them and still sell homes. And that's the point I was trying to make, is you have to make sales happen. You figure it out, right?
I thought about exactly what you said, Meredith, in the what are they doing? And what that particular neighborhood was doing was driving and watching your model doors close, and then thinking that everything was going to be free, so they feel like they're in the front seat. And I'm like, no, get back in the back seat. I'm driving, get in the back seat.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Matt, what's on your horizon and all the conversations you're having? What's next?
Yeah, so I think that what Carrie was just saying is spot on from the sales side of things. I think that there's a couple things we have to do here, and that's one is make sure that your sales team has a process on how to handle these objections that are going to come your way. You're going to have what we like to call some opportunistic buyers, right? That think that there is a real problem at hand and that they're going to come in and put a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 offer in on something because you're quote unquote desperate, right? And so we've got to make sure that the way, I dare say this word, your scripts are the way you're going to handle it is all dialed in to say, hey, this is not this is and was not a housing problem. And you're going to then explain why it's not affecting housing sales, right? Or pricing. So I think that's absolute key, is plan those things out. The other part of it is, as we go, talking about the technology side of it and how people are going to start re-entering the wild, the toothpaste is out of the tube here. So we are never going to go back to the way that we used to do it. Virtual selling, virtual tours, so many things more, so much more done online is staying with us forever. But I've heard people saying, oh, the buyers have really adapted really well to this virtual thing. No. The buyers haven't adapted at all. It's us. I think Meredith, somebody said this several weeks ago, we got drop kicked. We got drop kicked 10 years forward into where we are today to finally actually catch up to the consumer. So we have to layer that, knowing that you can't stick your head in the sand and we're not going to go back to the way we were. And we've got to layer, most states are having this, and federal recommendations are coming in with like a 3-phase layout. It's kind of that red, yellow, green. Different states are saying phases 1, 2, 3. They're saying red, yellow, green. It's basically the same thing. You have to layer in your messaging on what's appropriate for the phases. And so just to give you a thought to think about, to start as things start to enter in phase 1, there's a lot of confusion, or maybe thoughtful of like, is this open? Is this not? As a consumer, like, I'm not quite sure if your business is open. What if we just started with something really simple? We're open. We have homes, right? So we have to layer in our different phases of our messaging. I'm normally the data guy, and I really want to dive into how all the data looks. But the data tells us we've got to layer in our messaging approach, and all our creative that we do has to all tie into that, and the data is telling us what to do. And that's exactly what we have to think about. So think through how you're going to layer in through the different phases of a reopening, and do your buyers, do your prospects, do your customers know that you are open for business. Even if you are a state, one of the other 45 states in the country, there is still confusion out there about, is the model home open? So make sure you get your messaging right and layer it into where it's appropriate with the 3 phases of as we ease back into this.
And Matt, to your point, the example that I was giving of this particular production builder that did a very simple message on the homepage late Friday afternoon of basically, we are open, and a pre-sale incentive with purchase, not a discount, not at all, but it was a very simple, like, one line, but highly visible top of the page, and they responded to it because it was clear, it was simple, we are open. So yeah, and I think for me, and then Angela, I want to bring you in, what I see as next, it's really now, but if you aren't doing it now, then it's next, is just, if your website is not at a point where it can be easily morphed in for this layering messaging, where you can easily add this or add that or take out an element, then you got to get that fixed right away. You need in-house control over it, and the ability to really make it flex, so that if late Friday afternoon you want to try something and put that on there, you don't have to make 5 phone calls, spend thousands of dollars, and wait 2 weeks for the web company to update it for you. Right. So that's my take on that. Angela, what are you seeing communication-wise, relationship building, CRM? What should people be thinking about?
Well, the practical, tactical side of things, there is no better time to focus on your on-site sales team and getting them prepared and educated to utilize the technology that you have. So there's no better time right now, because there won't be time when things start to pick up. And I'm seeing a ton of engagement with on-site sales, first of all, utilizing the technology that's available to them, but really providing that opportunity to train them and educate on how to best utilize it. It doesn't mean getting a ton of and always having the latest and greatest. It's utilizing what you have. And I think that is the most important. This is the time to do that so that you're prepared down the road. The other thing I have to add to what you're saying, Meredith, as well, that, what I'm seeing, rather than focusing on what we're selling, really am I communicating the why? And I think that is, we tend to, we're drawn to emotions and to feelings and how we feel. And those builders that are successful right now are creating those, they're communicating the why. Mm-hmm. And so don't stop doing that. It's not back to, the flyers and the what. Let's continue that, the focus on why. And I love the MI Homes video.
And I didn't even get to show you, I'll put the link to their page in Raleigh. One of their associates had his mask on and did a whole Darth Vader impression. It was so good. It was so good. And the thing is when we're talking about emotion, some of you, the sappy stuff doesn't really resonate with you. I'm a big sap, so I like the sappy stuff. But for you, the emotion of humor is really what gets you. You like the Old Spice commercials, Right? I don't get them. Every time an Old Spice commercial comes on, I look at Alan and I'm like, I don't get it. And he's laughing his butt off, right? So it doesn't have to be over the top, sappy, Walt Disney World magic moment emotion. There's all kinds of emotions you can tap into. But when you do and you nail it of what others are experiencing, what happens is they say, you get me. You get me. And when you get me, I'm in, right? I'm in. Yep. So I love it. I love it. All right. So it is open forum time. Any and all questions are welcome. Yeah. Carrie, what's up?
No, I thought somebody had a question. Do they?
Oh, did they? Okay. No, I'm looking. Okay. Yeah. So questions that I'm getting, and I did see one, somebody asked about OSC traffic. Matt, I think you kind of answered this, but it's a good discussion item. And Tara, I know you're real involved with your OSCs, so feel free to chime in here too. I think, Lawrence, you were asking about website traffic. Is that right? Is the increased traffic showing up as either OSC traffic or visits to the model/site?
Yeah, so his question was, are they seeing the online traffic to convert to actual leads to their OSC or to on-site traffic?
Yeah. I would answer our clients, I would answer yes to that. Mm-hmm. I would say that the one I'm thinking of out of Dallas, where I was talking about changing up their thing on Friday, they've had 150 online chats in the last, since COVID started. It's record-breaking numbers, and they are converting those. They are making sales. The sales aren't at the pace that it was, but that is happening. This past weekend, their model traffic was outstanding. So really good. Tara, what about you?
Seeing the same thing. I mean, we hit a record number of website traffic last Sunday, and then this Sunday was right in line. It wasn't quite over, but it was right there. And our on-site salespeople are scheduling appointments like mad. So, and we're communicating that with our salespeople and sales managers regularly to keep them motivated as well. Kind of that social proof.
Yes.
We are interested in setting an appointment, and virtually or in person. So,
yeah.
And one of the things I think that I'm seeing all over the country too is yes to all of you, that it's all up and it's starting on the website and it's starting with online sales counselor, just no doubt about it. But when you talk about the layers, Matt, I think that we've got some companies that are changing some of the you have to, if you're going to embed these safety layers, what are they? And what are they by practice and purpose? So you have some online sales counselors that they get to the point where, would you like to have a virtual or a private one-on-one? And then they hook them up with that sales specialist, and then they schedule that time so that when that happens. So I think some of the setting is a little different, because what we're trying to do is get them to the person that can do that, and where and when, and are you ready to meet?
Yeah, most of the sales managers I talk to say that the sales really all came from people who were willing to come out in person, but they went through several steps and virtual visits to get to that in person. Yeah. Now I have seen in our Facebook group, like on Mondays, I always ask, tell me the good news. Because I like to start Monday mornings with some good news. I don't know about you, but it gets me going for the week. It's like a good energy drink, right? And several of you have written in that you've made completely virtual sales. And some of you have been doing that for some time because of military buyers and a variety of reasons. So I think that is happening, but I think the majority of them really still happen in person. Somebody asked about, are your builders requiring traffic to wear masks or providing them? And this is why what Carrie's saying is, what's the written procedure? So if you're the owner of the company listening in, if you're the sales leadership listening in, we need written procedures for both our guests and our new home consultants, so that we've documented what should happen as we go through each phase of this. And we can't really give you that advice. A, we're not your attorney. And B, I don't know what your local government has required, right? Because it's not even what your state is doing. Sometimes your county or city or province is overriding what, the bigger area is doing. So each of you, literally, it could be a little different. So want to think that through. Now, I did catch a Facebook Live this week, and that the salesperson was wearing a mask doing the Facebook Live, and it just, something about it didn't quite work. Now, the funny one where he was doing the Darth Vader voice, that totally worked. So just think it through, look at it on your camera, on your phone, kind of look at it before you do it, say, and because you want it to be appealing and visually appealing is part of that.
I think, Meredith, that we have to be careful with that word require, because if you require, then you have a responsibility back to have them.
Yeah.
That's where that comes in.
One of the marketing managers I talked to last week told me that they're doing two things. One, they're having their homes, once they close on closing day, they are providing that spray, kind of deep clean spray, lack of a better word, bomb, or what do you call it? Like,
it's like the magnetic stuff that they're using to spray off airplanes and stuff.
Yeah. Like they are providing that as a complimentary service, so that we know all these people have been through your home, and on closing day, the last thing that's going to happen as the last person walks out is this professional crew, and they give the link to show that it's a green product, plant-based, it's not anything, and we are going to spray the whole house down. And then she's having the models sprayed, I think, twice a week with the deep clean stuff. So you might want to investigate things like that. And that is going to bring us full circle and bring all this together, because that is my point, is if you think about what people are thinking, feeling, and doing, you can break the barrier of, I don't want to be where a bunch of other people have been and touch what other people have touched. And you spend a little extra money, get the spray deep cleaning stuff, and it's done. It's done. You've overcome the barrier and you've made the sale. So that is going to wrap us up for this week. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, please join our Builder Town Hall Facebook group. Just type that into Facebook. You'll find it, Builder Town Hall. We'll be back next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know what we'll be talking about, but I will figure it out before then. Tara, thank you. Thank you. It was so awesome.
Great job.
Thank you, Angela, Matt, Carrie. You guys are awesome. I appreciate every single one of you very much. Okay, cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.